Hi everyone, I'm iPad expert Dave, and I'm on a mission. That's right, I'm on a passion-driven mission. I want to make sure that everyone I know and anyone who will listen is well prepared for installing and using Apple's new iOS. Experiencing most of Apple's iOS updates myself and helping thousands of clients, online subscribers, friends, and family members through iOS updates, I know that this process can be a bit frustrating and challenging. In fact, although not often, I have seen some really nasty iOS update nightmares, including the absolute worst scenario, complete loss of photos, movies, and data without a backup to restore from. If this has happened to you in the past, you know how devastating this can be and how awful you feel when you find out that your data is completely gone. Folks, I don't want this to happen to you. So I decided to put together a series of 2 helpful tutorial videos that will help you avoid the common mistakes people make when updating the iOS on their Apple mobile devices. These 2 videos teach you how to prepare your device for updating to the new iOS and then how to properly install the iOS update. That said, let's move on with this video. This is video 1 in a series of 2 videos I will be sharing with you. Video 1 will help you properly and safely prepare your Apple mobile device for Apple's iOS update. But before we go any further, I would suggest that you select the video expansion tool in the bottom right hand corner of this player so you can view the video full screen. Also, for best clarity, click the gear icon and select either 1080p HD or 720p HD. Okay, now let's go learn how to prepare your Apple mobile device for the iOS update. Okay, so let's take a look at what you'll actually be learning today. We're going to cover the 4 steps to prepare your device for the new iOS update. So in step 1, we're going to find out, is your device actually compatible with the new iOS update? Very important to know. And in step 2, we're going to go ahead and do a little house cleaning. And we're going to free up some space to make sure that the iOS update is able to download and install on your device. In step 3, we're going to check for updates. We're going to see if there are any remaining pre-iOS 10 updates out there, and we're going to see if there's any app updates we can run before we do the actual install of the iOS 10 update. And in step 4, folks, this is the most important and most critical step that we'll be covering today, is we're going to show you how to do a backup of your device. We're going to look at 2 different methods to back up. And again, this is the most critical step, and please make sure you stick around to see this. A lot of people skip this step, and this is where I see the most difficulties and most problems with people updating to the new iOS. All right, so let's take a look at how do we check for compatibility. Now, iOS is compatible with the following devices. If you own an iPhone, you can run iOS 10 if you have an iPhone 5 or newer. Now notice down below, I've got the iPhone 4S with a line through it. That means the iPhone 4S is not going to be compatible with iOS 10. So if you have one of those, you won't be able to do that upgrade. If you have an iPad or an iPad mini, an iPad 4th generation or newer will be compatible with the iOS 10. And also the iPad mini 2 and newer is going to be compatible with iOS 10. Notice that the iPad 3rd generation, in fact I still have one of those, is not going to be supported by iOS 10. So make a note of that. If you own an iPod, you must have the iPod 6th generation to run iOS 10. And again, iOS 9 ran on the 5th generation, but that's not going to be supported moving forward. Now, you might be saying, hey Dave, I really don't know what model of iPhone I have or what model of iPad I had. So I'm sharing with you 2 links. They actually go back to Apple's website. A link for the iPhone and a link for the iPad. On the resulting pages, you will learn how to identify your iPhone or your iPad model by its model number and other details. So let's take a look at this iPhone 6s here presented. It says the year is 2015. So if you bought an iPhone in 2015, most likely it's going to be an iPhone 6S or 6S Plus. But to really know, you can take a peek at the model number, which is on the back of your iPhone or your iPad. And if you look on the back side, right below the Apple, you'll actually see the model number down there. Well, you can take that model number and then go to one of these two pages here and figure out what device you have. All right. Now, what if you don't want to take off a case? Say you've got a case of your iPhone or your iPad, you just don't want to peel it apart. You can also find out what model number you have on screen. Just simply go to your Settings app, tap About, and then swipe down to where you see Model. And just to the right of Model, you'll see your model number. Okay, very cool. So you take that number, go back to one of these two pages here, and then figure out what device you have. Now, there's one more way you can figure out what device you have, or what model of it, is if you have an iCloud account. You can go to iCloud.com, log in, and in the upper right-hand corner, go ahead and click your name. You'll notice that mine's up there. You can click your name and then click iCloud Settings. Now, when you go to iCloud Settings, it'll give you a list or a page that will list all your Apple devices and the actual name of the device, not the model number, the name. This should help you figure out what device you have and if it's compatible with iOS 10. In step 2, we're going to look at how to free up some space on your device. Now, iOS 9 required at least 1.75 gigabytes of space to download. Just download it to your device, plus an additional 1.5 gigabyte of temporary space, totaling a minimum of 3.25 gigabytes. Now, if you don't have that available for this next update, we need to look to see how we can free up space so you can go ahead and download and do the install. Now, if there isn't enough space to download and install the iOS update, starting back in iOS 9, the iOS tries to make more space for you automatically. So what it does is it temporarily removes some downloadable parts of installed apps. Apple claims that you shouldn't need to remove or reallocate any content, but in some cases, it is necessary to manually delete some content and open up enough free space on your device so you can download and actually do the install. You might be wondering, how do I check how much free space I have? Or how do I check which apps are hogging up all the space so I can go ahead and make that free space I need? Let's take a look at that. What I want you to do to find out how much storage you have available and which apps are hogging up all that space is I want you to go to the Settings app, tap General, and tap Storage and iCloud Usage. Now, under the storage portion, that top portion of the resulting page, go ahead and tap Manage Storage. Now, when you tap Manage Storage, that's going to bring you to a page that shows you at the top first how much space have I used and then what's available. You notice on my device I have 14.4 gigabytes available. So I have plenty of space to go ahead and do the install. I'm set to go. But what if your device is showing 2 gigabytes, 1 gigabyte, or even under? You'll actually have megabyte MBs there. You're going to have to do some house cleaning here to free up some space. Below that area, notice that we have our apps. And just to the right of the apps, it shows you how much space those apps are taking up. Now, my top 3 apps are the Photos and Camera, Music, and then Messages. So that means that I could probably go into one of those apps and do some house cleaning to go ahead and clean it up so I can have appropriate free space to go ahead and do the install. Now I'm going to put that off to the side and let's take a look at this. Okay, so if I go through the list and I see some apps in there I don't use at all, I can go ahead and tap the arrow on the right of it. Notice that this double down app, if I tap over to the right, that arrow, I'll be brought to a screen that allows me to go ahead and delete that app. And when I delete that app, not only does it delete the app, but it deletes the documents, the data that are associated with that. All right. So if this is not an important app, I don't have to worry about a backup. I can just go ahead and delete this. And boy, I recovered 578 megabytes, almost a half a gig there. Also, you can delete an app by long pressing on the app's icon on the home screen. Then hit the X, which appears when the app starts shaking. Now, remember back when we were looking at my app list and how much usage those apps take? My Messages app, and I'm assuming yours is probably like this too, is taking up quite a bit of space. In fact, mine was about 2.3 gigabytes. Now, to clean up the Messages app, you can go into the app and manually delete the messages, or you can go into settings and you can reduce the amount of time the Messages app keeps messages. For example, if your setting is showing that it's keeping messages for 1 year or forever, you probably have, gigabytes of messages in there that you probably don't even need anymore. So if you want to do a batch delete of all those old messages and just keep the most current messages, go ahead and set your messages history to 30 days. Now, if by chance you need to keep some of those older ones, then you're going to have to go through and manually delete each of those messages. If you have downloaded TV shows or movies from iTunes, there's a good chance those are still on your device, and you really need to go in and delete the ones that you have already watched. This will free up a ton of space on your device. And also, you can make space on your device by transferring photos and videos to iCloud using iCloud Library. Or you can use another cloud service such as Dropbox or Google Drive. By sending your photos and videos up to iCloud Library, it actually removes them from your device and stores them all up in the cloud, freeing up all that space on your device. But you must have an iCloud account to go ahead and activate iCloud Photo Library. Now, you can also transfer photos and movies to your computer via the provided white USB cable that came with your device. I do want to point out, if you had those older 30-pin USB cables, those devices that use those are no longer compatible with the most recent iOS updates. So if you have one of those, you're not going to be able to update. What you're looking for is your Lightning USB cable. You'll see a smaller head on the cable, which lets you know that that is a Lightning cable. If you have a Mac or Windows computer, what I want you to do is I want you to please take a look at this link down below that I'm showing here. This will show you how you can transfer your iOS photos and movies to your computer. What I'll do is use that cable we just looked at, that Lightning cable, and you'll also use iTunes. So you'll be able to go ahead and transfer directly to your computer, and then on your device you can manually delete photos, movies that are stored on that device. If you don't want to back up any of those photos or movies that you took with your device, you can just go ahead and manually delete them right there in the Photos app. Let's move on to step number 3, where we're going to check for updates. If you're watching this video before the public release of iOS 10, which is September 13, 2016, now is a great time to update your iOS system to the latest release of iOS 9, which happens to be 9.3.5. Sometimes Apple will require your device to be running the current iOS version before you can upgrade. So, to upgrade, let's go ahead and take a look at what you'd have to do. Step 1 is you're going to have to tap on your Settings app. From there, tap General, and then choose Software Update. Now, step 4 is the download and install process. But you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner that before you do that step 4, take a look in the bottom right-hand corner. I've got a warning. We need to back up your device before running any iOS update. And that's what we're going to cover in a little bit. So if you don't have a backup of your device, I don't want you running any updates. Next, we can check to see if our installed apps have updates. Now, install any app updates that are available before updating to iOS to ensure that your apps will work properly after the iOS update. Tap the App Store app, tap Updates at the bottom of the screen, and then next tap the Update button next to any apps that display it. So let's take a look at a graphic so this makes sense to you. So at the top of the screen, when I'm in my updates, you'll see that I have pending updates for 3 apps. And notice the buttons to the right of those apps. I could just go ahead and tap each of those update buttons to run those updates. Or to make it easier for you, you can go up and tap the Update All button in the upper left-hand corner. It'll automatically update all the apps that have pending updates. Now, before we get to step 4, there's one last thing I want you to do. I want you to double tap your home button after all your updates are done. And then that will bring you into the multitask mode. I want you to find all the open apps, and I want you to swipe up on the thumbnail, just kind of like you see on the screen. Take your finger and just swipe up, and this will quit active apps. That brings us to our last and final step, which is backing up our device. Now, again, folks, this is the most critical step. There are 2 backup options. We can back up to iCloud, and we can back up to iTunes on your computer. iCloud is a wireless backup to the cloud, and iTunes is a wireless or cable backup to your computer using the white USB cable that came with your device. So let's take a look at backing up to iCloud. iCloud backups require an iCloud account. If you don't already have one, you can create one on your iDevice by going to Settings, iCloud, enter your Apple ID and password. So once you have that set up, I want you to go ahead and tap Backup in the iCloud settings. Okay, so go to your Settings app, tap iCloud, tap Backup, and when you do that, you're going to have a screen that pops up, and I want you to toggle on the iCloud Backup. Now this automatically backs up data such as your photo library, accounts, documents, health data, HomeKit, configurations, and settings when your device is plugged in, locked, and connected to Wi-Fi. So this is automatically going to happen for you. Or you can manually choose to back up by tapping the Backup Now option. And when you do that, right below, you're going to have a status screen showing you the estimated time remaining for your backup. Now, if you want to back up to iTunes on your computer, go ahead and connect the iDevice to your computer using that USB cable. You open up iTunes. If you don't have that, you need to download that from Apple. Open up iTunes, click on your iDevice under Devices in the upper left-hand menu, and then make sure the Summary tab at the top of iTunes is selected. Under the Backup section, select the Backup Now button. Let's take a peek at that. In the upper left-hand corner, notice that I have selected my iPhone, tapped Summary, and I want you to take a look at Automatically Backup. Because in iCloud, I did select iCloud to automatically update, I activated that. That's why that's showing there. We use iTunes for a manual backup. Now, when you do a manual backup, you can encrypt your backup. And what this does is it will back up account passwords used on your iPhone. And you'll have to assign a specific password for that encryption. I do this because it just makes it easy when you restore, if you have to restore, that all your passwords are then placed back on. Otherwise, you have to re-enter all of them. Also, you have a status with your latest backups. Notice that I backed up to iCloud at 3:28 p.m. and I also backed up to this computer at 3:28. So I have 2 backups for safety. Now, if you want to run a backup right from iTunes, this is where you're going to do it. You click the Backup Now button, and that will go ahead and start the backup process. So that's it. So let's review what we've learned. We learned that in step 1, we need to find out if our device is compatible. In step 2, we had to make sure we had enough free space on our device to go ahead and download and install the iOS update. In step 3, we check for updates. We look for pre-iOS 10 updates, and then we also look for any app updates. And finally, in step 4, again, the most critical step, we learned that there's 2 ways we can back up our device. We can back up to iCloud, and we can back up to iTunes on our computer. And remember, I actually do both of those. And if convenient for you, I'd suggest you do that as well. And that's it, folks. You're all set to install iOS 10. A couple things before we take off. You might be wondering, hey Dave, what's all that stuff below this video? So let's take a look around and see what we can see. At the bottom of the page, if you like what you experienced in this video, please do me a favor. Go ahead and click that like button down there. This will help me know that you appreciated this video and you found some real value in it. If you know a coworker, a friend, a family member who you think might benefit from this video, please click the share button. Remember, my mission is to help as many people as possible to successfully update their iDevice to the new iOS. I would be grateful if you could help me out with that mission. Also, if you have any questions or comments about this video, go ahead, please leave me a note right in that comment section below. I love interacting with my viewers, and I'll do my best to respond to your comments and questions in a timely manner. If you love learning about how to better use your iOS device, I want you to take a look just to the right of the comment section, where you have the opportunity to sign up for my free iPad Tips and Tricks newsletter. Now, don't worry if you only have an iPhone or an iPod Touch. My newsletter focuses on the iOS in general. In fact, I have subscribers from all over the world who have joined my newsletter community, and I would love to have you as a member of that community as well. Lastly, in the third section right below this video, you will find bonus downloads that I have prepared specifically for you. Each one of these downloads will support, in more detail, the information that I've shared with you in this video. This is my gift to you for joining me in my mission. All right, well, that's it, folks. Let's wrap this video up. I want to thank you for sharing your time with me, and I really hope that you learned something today. Now don't forget, come join me in video 2 as we continue our iOS update journey. Until then, laugh, love, be happy, and get your mobile on.